Ancient Mesopotamia was a region that encompassed modern-day Iraq and parts of Syria, Iran, and Turkey. It is widely regarded as one of the cradles of civilization, where humans first settled down and began to form complex societies. Mesopotamia is known for its impressive achievements in architecture, writing, and science, among others. In this essay, we will explore some of the major accomplishments of ancient Mesopotamia, from the construction of ziggurats to the development of writing systems. Ziggurats. Ziggurats were massive stepped pyramids that were built in ancient Mesopotamia. These structures served as religious temples and were often the center of the city-state's social and economic activities. The oldest known ziggurat is the Sialk ziggurat in Kashan, Iran, which dates back to the 3rd millennium BCE. However, the most famous ziggurat is the Temple of Marduk in Babylon, which was built in the 6th century BCE and was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The construction of ziggurats required the mobilization of large numbers of laborers, who worked for months or even years to construct these massive structures. They were built using mud bricks, which were made by mixing mud with straw and then drying them in the sun. The bricks were then stacked on top of each other in a stepped pattern, with each layer slightly smaller than the one below it. The ziggurats were then covered with a layer of mud plaster and decorated with colorful glazed bricks. The ziggurats served not only as religious temples but also as administrative centers, where the city's rulers and priests would conduct their affairs. They were often surrounded by courtyards, which were used for public gatherings and festivals. The ziggurat of Ur, for example, had a large courtyard where people would gather to celebrate the new year. Writing systems. One of the most important achievements of ancient Mesopotamia was the development of writing systems. Writing first emerged in Mesopotamia around 3500 BCE, as a way to keep track of trade and economic transactions. The earliest writing system was called cuneiform, which consisted of wedge-shaped marks made on clay tablets with a reed stylus. Cuneiform was used for a variety of purposes, including record-keeping, correspondence, and literature. Cuneiform was a complex writing system that required years of training to master. It consisted of over 1,000 signs, each of which represented a specific word or concept. The scribes who used cuneiform were highly respected members of society, as their skills were in high demand. They were often employed by the government or wealthy individuals to keep track of their possessions and transactions. In addition to cuneiform, Mesopotamia also developed other writing systems, such as hieroglyphics and the Phoenician alphabet. These systems were based on the same principles as cuneiform, but they used different symbols to represent words and concepts. The Phoenician alphabet, for example, consisted of 22 letters, each of which represented a different sound. This system was much simpler than cuneiform, and it was easier to learn and use. Mathematics and science. Mesopotamia was also a center of mathematical and scientific inquiry. The Mesopotamians were particularly interested in astronomy, and they developed a sophisticated system for observing the movements of the planets and stars. They also developed a calendar that was based on the cycles of the moon and the sun, which allowed them to keep track of the seasons and agricultural cycles. In addition to astronomy, the Mesopotamians also made important contributions to mathematics. They developed a system of mathematics that was based on the sexagesimal system, which is a base 60 system. This system is still used today to measure time and angles, and it is believed to have been developed by the ancient Sumerians. The Mesopotamians were able to perform complex calculations using this system, and they developed mathematical concepts such as fractions, square roots, and algebraic equations. One of the most famous mathematical texts from ancient Mesopotamia is the Plimpton 322 tablet, which dates back to around 1800 BCE. This tablet contains a list of Pythagorean triples, which are sets of 3 integers that satisfy the equation a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This formula is the basis of the Pythagorean theorem, which states that in a right triangle, the square of the length of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. The fact that the Mesopotamians knew about Pythagorean triples over 1,000 years before Pythagoras is a testament to their mathematical prowess. Engineering. Mesopotamia was also a center of engineering, and the Mesopotamians were responsible for many impressive feats of engineering. One of the most impressive examples is the system of canals and irrigation ditches that they built to control the flow of water from the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. These canals allowed the Mesopotamians to irrigate their crops and make the most of the fertile land between the rivers. Another impressive engineering achievement was the construction of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which were one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The gardens were built by King Nebuchadnezzar II in the 6th century BCE and were said to have been a marvel of engineering and horticulture. They consisted of a series of terraced gardens that were irrigated using a complex system of pumps and aqueducts.